Wonderful. Thank you everyone for being here for our first WEKH Indigenous Coffee Break of 2022. I am so excited to be joined by the folks at the Indigenous Screen Office and OCAD Center for Emerging Artists and Designers today. I would like to first acknowledge that I'm calling in from Treaty 7 in Calgary, Alberta, but I am originally from Treaty 1 in Manitoba. And I would just like to invite everyone that's here on the call today to share in the chat their own land acknowledgement or where you're calling in from. I know that we have folks from all across Turtle Island on the call, so I would love to hear where you are situated. So super excited. First coffee break of 2022. For those of you who haven't been to one of our coffee breaks, this is sort of a new take on a previous event series that we were doing at WEKH, but going forward, we're going to be bringing together Indigenous women entrepreneurs and the ecosystem support organizations across Turtle Island to connect and to learn more about what's going on in the ecosystem and what resources are currently available out there for all of the lovely Indigenous women and folks in the WEKH network. So without further ado, I'm not going to take up a ton of time because I know you didn't come here to listen to me. So I would love to invite the Indigenous Screen Office to unmute themselves and join the conversation because I know you're here to hear from them. So Kaia, Isabella, Tash, Christy, welcome to the call.
Thanks. I think maybe before we kind of jump into our spiel, maybe we should just go around and quickly introduce ourselves. So my name is Kaia Wheeler. I'm located in Winnipeg, Manitoba. This is where I was born and raised. My family comes from Saugeen First Nation, which is about an hour and a half north of the city on my mom's side. And on my dad's side is from George Gordon's in Saskatchewan. I'm just going to pass it. So Tash, you're in my corner. I'm going to pass it on to you.
Hi, everyone. So yeah, my name is Tash. I work with the ISO. I manage the Story Fund program. I am Dene, Eastern European, but I was born and raised in Northern Ontario with my Anishinaabe family as well. So, and I'm here in Toronto these days. I'll pass it off to Isabelle.
Thanks, Tash. Hi, everyone. My name is Isabelle. I am in Montreal, Quebec. I was born and raised here. I am one of the program managers at the ISO. I manage sector development and our Netflix grant, which I'm sure we'll get into. I'm Mohawk and European. I'm a member of Six Nations of the Grand River Territory and belong to the Turtle Clan. Yeah, I'm really happy to be here today. I will pass it to Christy.
Hi, everybody. My name is Christy Asu. I am Haida and Kwakwaka'wakw. I'm based out of Vancouver Island in British Columbia, but currently working in North Carolina. Yeah, I'm the Director of Funding Programs with the ISO, and yeah, I'm happy to be here. My background is mainly in film and television producing and now in the funding world. So yeah, happy to be here and answer any questions you might have. Thanks.
Awesome. So I think I'll get started. I'm just going to do kind of a brief overview about the ISO, and then I'll hand it off to Tash and Isabelle, who can talk about the specific programs that they take care of. I'm literally going to read a couple blurbs from my screen here, just so I don't forget anything. So if I'm not looking at the camera, that's why. I tend to stumble over my words, so I'm going to try not to do that this time. So here we go. Okay, so the ISO is a national Indigenous funding and advocacy organization. We are committed to ensuring Indigenous stories on screens. See, I stumbled. We are committed to ensuring Indigenous stories on screens are in the control of First Nations, Inuit, and Métis storytellers who have been historically excluded from the sector for more than a century. Our priority is to support First Nations, Inuit, and Métis storytellers from across Canada, including representation from diverse regions, women, 2SLGBTQIA+, emerging creators, and Indigenous language groups. Our approach is relational. We want to hear from applicants about who they are, where they come from, and where they're going, so that we can enter a relationship with them built on honesty and trust. So that is kind of a general overview of the ISO. Once we get into the Q&A, happy to get into more specifics if that's where the conversation leads. But for now, I think I'll hand it over. Maybe we'll just go in the same order. Tash, do you want to start?
Yeah, sure. So I'm just giving an overview of the Story Fund. So the Story Fund is a funding pocket with the ISO that has 3 pockets. So development, production, and enhancements funding. And the whole Story Fund is designed to support like a full cycle of creation, from production through to, for like the beginning stages, development, through production to dissemination or distribution. And it supports across all screen platforms. So not just film or TV. It's broader than that, but all with a focus on obviously Indigenous storytelling and narrative sovereignty. So each program has its own set of guidelines. They're there all on the website. So development, like we give out grants for individuals, collectives, and groups for up to $20,000. And then companies can apply for a slate of projects to develop for up to $40,000. So just to give you a little bit of information on each. So some examples are like, we support story editing, screenplay development. If you have to go through the process of getting a chain of title or rights acquisition, creating a pitch deck, paying for schematics. So across all the development kind of activities. And then production, so you're in that next stage. We do have some requirements around, it being having a certain amount of Canadian content in there. And it can be used to pay for things like your crew, your cast, obviously, if you have cast, anything to do with the production stage, technical expertise. If you do require cultural advisors or knowledge carriers, community liaisons, and of course, legal things. So for that, individuals, sole proprietors, collectives, or groups can apply for $75,000 maximum. Companies can apply for up to $250,000 if the budget is under $2.5 million, and then up to $500,000 for a budget over 2.5. All of those details you can find in the guidelines if you need to refer to that. And then enhancements. So enhancements is kind of like a special little pocket of money. It's designed to really, for activities that are to enhance a project. So you've already received support at some point in time for your project, and now you're like, oh, I need to add versioning to this project, or I need a certain kind of digital expertise to come on board to do this other thing for this project. So yeah, that's a different pocket of money. You can apply for up to $100,000, and that's a rolling deadline. So unlike the other two that will have deadlines that will announce sometime in the summer, I imagine, to be in the early fall. Enhancements is year-round. It has a rolling deadline, so you can apply at any time. So that's just a really quick overview. I just wanted to make sure I got all those little bits in, and then I'll pass it on to Isabelle now, and then I can come back and ask me any questions about these programs after.
Yeah, awesome. Thanks, Tash. So like she was saying, she looks after the Story Fund as the program manager, and I'm responsible for 2 programs at the ISO. The first one I'll talk about is our Sector Development Partnership Grant. So this is a grant that we designed to be really a partnership between the ISO and the organizations who are coming to seek funding for sort of large scale initiatives that look at supporting the industry continuing momentum for Indigenous storytellers to gain sort of training or new opportunities. We really do support a wide range of initiatives through this grant. So things like film festivals, youth programs, training programs on productions. We're looking to support all kinds of things that are focused on sectoral development for Indigenous creators in the country. It's open to primarily organizations, as we're looking to support groups who are able to provide really meaningful training in these ways and meaningful initiatives that are going to impact a lot of people in the sector and give them new opportunities. If anyone is coming in this call from an organization like that, I'm happy to talk a little bit more about it, but I will spend more time on our Netflix partner, our Netflix grant. So we've partnered with Netflix for a few years now to offer apprenticeship and cultural mentorship. So you can apply as an individual if you're looking to gain apprenticeship on a funded production. And so you can apply for up to $30,000 in order to gain apprenticeship in a wide range of positions. So that can be sort of above the line in producing, directing, writing, or many below the line positions such as editing, animation, DOP. And this is a great opportunity if you're looking for somebody specific who's going to provide you really meaningful training over the course of a production that otherwise wouldn't be there. And that funding goes directly to you if you are applying as an Indigenous individual. I'm sure in the Q&A part, we'll get to sort of where everyone is coming from, if anyone has a production company and has things on the go, but you can also apply as a production company and bring on an apprentice to a funded project that you have. So maybe we can go into a bit more detail in that once people share what they're up to. The other side of that grant is the cultural mentorship side, which is something we're super excited about. You can apply as a producer, writer, director in the development phase of a project in order to engage a cultural mentor. So that can be somebody in your community who you want to speak to, who's going to consult on your project. That can be a language speaker, a knowledge keeper, someone who has intimate cultural knowledge about the topic that you're writing about or the story that you want to bring forward. And that can be up to $15,000 to support that connection between you and a cultural mentor. And again, your project has to be in development in order to access that side of the grant, but it's a really great way of bringing on somebody who's going to enhance your project, do protocols work with them, whatever it may be. That's why we created that side of the grant in order to do that. So that's a little bit about my two grants. I don't know if Christy wants to jump in and share anything, if she feels like there's something that we missed or that's super important to highlight about these grants.
No, you guys did great. I think I'm just here mainly for support and for supporting these ladies who, really have it when they know what they're doing. So that's a good thing. But I think just to mention, like Tash said, that we'll have new funding programs probably opening up in the fall again this year. So just keep an eye out for that. And then also really pay attention to the grants that have rolling deadlines that you can apply anytime. And we're always here for questions. I think we have an email that's on our website that you can check in with. And yeah, I'm here to support in any way I can.
Awesome. Thank you so much. And let me remove all these spotlights so we can all see each other again. There we go. Perfect. Thank you so much to the ISO team for giving us that background and all that wonderful information. I'm sure that some of you have questions right now, but I'm going to ask if you could kindly hold on to them until we're done the presentation portion of today's session, and there will be a Q&A session afterwards. Feel free to start popping questions in the chat if you'd like. I'll be keeping an eye on that. But until then, I would like to invite Alex to share some information about OCAD and the Center for Emerging Artists and Designers.
Hi, everyone. Thanks for letting me be here. So my name is Alex. I use she, her pronouns. and I'm the project officer at OCAD University's RBC Center for Emerging Artists and Designers, a very long name. We are based in Toronto, which is the ancestral and traditional territories of the Mississaugas of the Credit, the Haudenosaunee Confederacy of Six Nations, the Anishinaabe, and the Huron-Wendat Nations. I myself am a second generation Chinese settler here, also living in Toronto. The department at OCAD, our main focus is supporting OCAD students and alumni who are kind of in the early stages of beginning their creative practice. And that happens through like traditional advising, career development stuff, opportunities to partner with other organizations to get some experiential learning opportunities and mentorship opportunities. And our final focus, which is newer, which is looking at the idea of creative entrepreneurship and supporting the idea of sustainable businesses and alternative forms of a creative practice that's moving away from a purely like the starving artist mentality, or the idea that the idea of like lack of resources and fighting constantly for that survival piece. And as part of that creative entrepreneurship work, we're part of the WEKH network, which really gives us a good opportunity to broaden our work outside of OCAD, which we're really excited about, and to better support creative entrepreneurs all across Canada. And like our way of doing that is to foster kind of deeper connections with people outside of OCAD, sharing resources, developing new resources that we can share, knowledge and opportunities. I can talk about some events that we have coming up, but maybe I'll just do that at the end, or we can share it through just Kara, your email at the end. And also, having opportunities to invite guest speakers to come and speak and share knowledge, and co-developing events and workshops together. So this is a perfect example of something that we're doing that kind of fits into that mandate. I want to extend, like, if anyone wants to have a conversation around like types of supports that we have available specifically, I can put my email into the chat. Feel free to reach out to me. And yeah, I'm happy to be here and excited to hear what kind of questions everyone has. Thank you.
Thanks so much, Alex. I was just finding OCAD's information so I could pop it into the chat for you. So I will do that right now. And if you want to pop, oh, I think I accidentally popped your email in there too. So hopefully that was the email you were going to share. Otherwise, feel free to correct me.
No, that's perfect. That's the perfect one. That's the right one.
Okay, perfect. Awesome. Well, I just wanted to, while we wrap up the presentation portion of this session, I just wanted to thank both teams at the Indigenous Screen Office, Kaia, Isabella, Tash, Christy. Thank you so much for being here and sharing all your wonderful information and resources. And same to Alexandra at OCAD U. OCAD, as Alex mentioned, is one of our WEKH hubs, and the ISO is one of our WEKH Indigenous ecosystem partners. So I highly recommend that you keep an eye out for these sessions as we move through 2022, because we will be having more of our ecosystem partners and more of the WEKH hubs join us to discuss different projects and initiatives in different industries that are coming up. So yeah, if you are looking for something new, or maybe you don't know what you're looking for yet, I highly recommend. I'll share all of WEKH's socials. We also have a WEKH Indigenous newsletter that we share on a monthly basis. So I'll also share some information on how you can sign up for that if you're interested. But at this time, I'm going to end the recording. So if you could just give me one moment.